All right, everybody. Hi. Let's see if I can't get this light to work. Oh dear. Wonder why the camera's dark. Good morning. I haven't done a live on this channel, so I'm trying to get the camera to behave. Oh, there it is. Oh, I think. So sorry, everybody. My camera broke, and I'm using my computer camera, and it's acting a little weird. So hopefully it'll behave. Good morning. Good morning. So let's see. All right. So those of you in the chat, can you see me and hear me okay? Okay, good. Great. Glad to have you. Okay. All right. Sorry the lighting's not that great. I'm using my computer camera, so it's being a little bit fussy. All right. So gosh, it's been a long time, my friends, since we've done a community call. And I just loved doing them. But the energies around them were a little bit challenging. So I had to stop for my health back in the day. And now we're back in the driver's seat. So let me explain how the community calls work. Community calls are basically our chance to connect in a brief. So we'll probably go for about an hour and a half or so. And hopefully my camera will behave. It doesn't like it keeps going dark. Oh dear. Yeah, it's fussy. All right, so we'll keep going nonetheless. We won't let anything stop us today. So the community calls are us just to get together and talk candidly about power and energy and the collective, and of course what we're all feeling, and some reports, right? So I like to give you a bit of a report about the energy, about what I'm seeing with clients, and the patterns that we're all going through and these kinds of things. So that's what community calls are all about. It's getting a handle on or a feel for the community in general, right? And so the energetic of these days, oh my gosh. The sorry about the camera. Maybe it'll behave if I turn it off and on. All right. That seemed to nope. All right. Well, hopefully you're not too perturbed by the dark and light. Anyhow, uh the point being is that the collective right now, we have quite a lot of powerful energy. It's very difficult and challenging. And these kinds of energies have caused us to have a lot of exhaustion, right? So, big hot topic right now with myself and so many of the clients I'm talking to is exhaustion. And for me, it looks awful because by 6 p.m., I'm so tired. I end up going and crawling in bed and I'm asleep by 7. So, and that's kind of ridiculous. um, yeah, unfortunately, my camera, Milena, is um, annoyed by my situation. Yeah, I think you're right, Andrea, that it's picking up the light in the back, and that's why it's being mad. Um, let's see if we can't. Hopefully, it'll work itself out. Um, so, gosh, I hate seeing the shadow. Let me see if I can't turn myself around here. 1 second here. I apologize. It's just a lot of trial and error for our first call today. One moment while I rearrange a little. All right, so thankfully my desk and things are fairly movable. All right, that's a little bit better. Good. It's something. But now I know that camera is very fussy about the light. And I'll keep that in mind. All right, back to the matter at hand. Well, you get half of me. There we go. All right. There. That's better. I need to water my plant in the background. Sorry about that. Anyhow. All right, back to exhaustion. Well, when you're trying to rearrange your life all the time and work as a mystic, what does that mean? That means that you're considering the spiritual pieces of reality at all times. So, you're a spiritual scientist. You're walking in the world and knowing that you are not this body, that you are not your body, you are not your job, you are not your relationships, right? You are the I am. You are the great presence that is source being expressed through this version of source, right? But the other side of it isn't just the relationships you have. It's also the fact that source God is speaking to you through all things, right? So all things are part of source. And that's that Gnostic concept of oneness, right? And so like even this cup, for example, is part of source. And so source comes in and is here to serve us in the learning in order for us to serve source. And so in all ways, source is speaking to us and all the things around us. So my little plant back behind me here, or my kitty cat that I was just talking to earlier, or, the people around you, even if they're annoying, the guy that cuts you off on the highway, in the morning when you're trying to go to work. This is God. Isn't that funny? It's kind of funny to me, I think, that God is talking to us through all these different kinds of people and situations, and that's mysticism too. And so when you're synced up with source, you're noticing how God is talking to you. You're noticing what God says to you and how God responds to you, right? So that's why I'm working on a class, or I have worked on for some months, almost a year, been working on a class about ritual. So we're going to energetically set it off this weekend on the 21st. On equinox, we're going to do a little retreat. And I'm going to walk you through. It's going to be a guided meditation retreat. And I'm going to literally walk you through first person through a fourth dimensional construct. And I'm going to walk you through and we're going to get some stuff done. But it's going to be really gentle. It's going to be all about receiving. Right. And so this is one of the wonders of what we're capable of as we recognize our own superpowers, is that we're capable of creating constructs like a fourth dimensional castle, for example, that I've created a very beautiful place, and I'm going to walk you through it. And it's not remote viewing. When you're creating things in other dimensions, it's through imagination, right? But the energy behind everything is going to be about receiving, right? Receiving healing for very specific patterns, getting a chance to let source speak to you more directly, right? If anything, our attempt at enlightenment all the time, or being awake, is us trying to continuously recognize that everything around us is God. And when you're synced up to that, all of this enormous power comes in, all these cool skills come up for you to practice in. And one of them is the creation of different aspects of reality. So fourth dimensional creation is one of the coolest things you can do. So, like today, I would encourage you every day to add a little more to your refuge, to your fourth dimensional home space, right? Because as a soul who has access to all dimensions, the fourth dimension is the place of imagination. And then when you're creating all these amazing places, create a garden for yourself, create a place where you can heal certain relationships or certain physical problems, right? So, like a friend of mine has trouble with his feet, and he could create a fourth dimensional space specifically just to heal his feet, right? Or like lot lately I'm dealing with PTSD and I go into freeze mode. So I'll sit there and suddenly I'll be talking to my kids or something, and then a bad memory will come up, and then my brain takes me into the memory, right? And everybody kind of has experienced something like that. But I'll go into freeze mode, and my face goes blank, and my loved ones know that something's up, that mom's in some other some other place, and it's really specific feeling, right, when you get into freeze mode. But I can take that part of me who's going through that trauma, even if I have a reaction, which we all do, one way or another, we're going to have PTSD type reactions to stuff because life's hard and being human this time is really, really difficult. It's probably one of the most intense times to be human that's ever happened, on our planet, at least, right? So, but that part of me, right, who goes into that memory, I can take her out of there and I can go put her in a fourth dimensional construct through my imagination to heal her, right? I can give her a chance to get closure. I can give her a chance to get connections and love and healing of all sorts. And I can interact directly with Source in that way so that Source can show me more about the healing that has to be done, show me things that I don't already know about, right? And so that's one of the ways we interact. And so your sort of fun challenge, right, until we meet again for our next community call in April, and I'll try to do it early April. What you should look at is how this concept works. Just ask Source to support you in this concept and say, show me things I don't already know about the healing I need to do. And then wait, right? In divine timing, Source will give you those little pieces that you need, and the enrichment and the love that you need, and the responses that you need from the things outside of you, the external. It's never truly external because it's all Source. So if you keep that in mind and then start working on your fourth dimensional space, right? And, in the end, this is how we build the kingdom of heaven. I like that. Florence Scovel Shinn is one of my favorite people, right? And she was in the 1920s, very, very ahead of her time. And she talks about that we create the kingdom of heaven with our mind. We create the kingdom of heaven with our imagination. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Go for it. You've got no blocks. No one to tell you no. You don't have any physical blocks in the fourth dimension. It's all dependent upon how far you can go mentally and emotionally. So that's something I would encourage all of us to work on, because that's how Source picks up, what do humans really want? How are they going to evolve? And Source picks that up from us imagining better futures, imagining a better present for ourselves. And those images create reality. And so here we're trapped in this very intense time through media at the moment, with a whole big, huge world war going on. World War V, right? I think it's World War V. Everyone says World War III. I don't agree. the Cold War was a world war, and the Middle Eastern wars were world wars. So this is World War V, and it's an unusual one, right? We've got AI involved, we've got drones involved, we have factions involved that are all part of the Dark Order fighting each other, right? So there's no good guys or bad guys in war, as you know. And we've been at war since I was born and before that. So honestly, the United States has really seen it. And don't forget, a lot of our friends might be pretty mad at the US, and I don't blame them. But of course, us intelligent folks, we know that it's not the people that they're the problem, it's the government. And the people don't have any kind of awareness really of what the government's doing, or how it functions. And now with the e-files that have come out, I got to be careful what I say, because censorship is still very big on YouTube, which is why I had to move channels, because they shadow banned my other one, and then they demonetized it and cut it all off from the tools. So I can't do live streams on there, because they don't like what I say. So that's why I moved to a different channel. But that's okay. That's how it goes. That being said, the e-files have validated quite a lot of what many people like myself and many of you have been urging people to look at for a very long time. And the madness, the insanity of it all is actually really extreme, but it actually is very, very clear that, as crazy as it all sounded some years ago, that the people who were digging to the bottom of the rabbit hole were correct. And that it's actually just as crazy or crazier than what they said in the first place. Right? So it it's incredibly horrific, the things that that all of that is revealed, right? But this gives us a chance to say, now what? I'm willing to go with you to the bottom of the rabbit hole, but only with this understanding that on the other side of recognizing what's in the darkness, that we continue to build what's especially appropriate in the light, right? So I'm always willing to look at those things in the dark, and to help people understand them, and how these psychopaths think, and how it leads to the galactic situation. But no matter what, the ultimate way for you to truly make a difference is to keep working on the inner planes, on the inner realms, on the fourth dimension, to keep imagining the kingdom of heaven in the present all the time, right? And so that's how you fix what was done by these evil people. That's how you heal this planet and our humanity. That's how we get back to the garden inside of us and bring upon a new world, a new way of being. The new earth is, they call it new earth, new community, new culture, new species, all the above, right? And so no wonder you're exhausted. No wonder I'm so tired. And at first I thought I was like sick, because I'm like literally sitting there at the table falling asleep while I'm trying to play games with my kids. And I'm like, wow, like maybe I'm ill. And it's not that at all. Because it's not just me. And then I keep talking to more and more clients and friends, and they're like, I am over the top tired. This is what happens when the collective has a trauma response, and then the collective, when you have a trauma response, it exhausts your parasympathetic nervous system, right? And so when it's exhausted like that, your body's trying to reset, it's trying to heal. So we're all going through that as a collective. And we've gone through so much, and now we're still going through it. And so the news is trying to keep you, don't forget this. The Dark Order and the news is trying to keep you in a fight or flight response all the time. And you don't have to agree to this anymore. That's what the inner refuge is all about. You don't have to agree to this anymore. You don't have to put your energy into it and in any way, because there's no more law. No one's obeying international law. Apparently, it just doesn't exist. And so here we are. If they're not gonna obey law, then what are we supposed to do about it? Well, we're all gonna be here still trying to make sure we work all this out and have a better future. The war in Iran is not for a better future. It's not, right? There's no war that creates a better future. There's no war that creates a better future. That's not how better futures work, right? I like what Marion is saying. She's saying, I put an energetic egg of protection surrounding my being every morning. I've been feeling that egg as well. And it kind of feels like a containment of stillness, right? And so bringing yourself into stillness, because remember that the media and everything, they're trying to whip you up into a position of terror, right? They're trying to make sure your nervous system and your mind might be fine, but remember that your nervous system has its own mind going on. It's got the heart and the gut, and the mind might be fine, but the body's not. And then you'll find yourself zoning out or being exhausted, or these are trauma responses. Interesting. So the stillness, stilling the mind, stilling the emotions, remaining as objective in witness as possible. Bridget says, are you speaking of your inner child when you refer to her in the creation of the fourth dimensional safe place for healing? Yeah, or my present self, or parts of my body, or different light bodies, or it could be me in the present. It could be future me that I'm discussing things with. Anything's possible in the fourth dimension. So it's not just the inner child. Lately, it's, myself who was married and everything that she's been through and trying to heal her. And she's an adult, she's in her 30s. So I'm trying to get her out of the situation and get her out of the loops of trauma and put her into the kingdom of heaven inside of me. And this is a very effective way of working with trauma. It's one of my favorite methods, and it's very special. Good. And then our imagination is a tremendously powerful skill, Marion reminds us. And Nafke says, is it not more about what we need instead of wanting? Those kind of overlap, right? And you're going to have a desire to want certain outcomes naturally because you're a human being and you have an ego and a personality. But if you back up past the body and past the personality, then you end up in the I am. And the I am is not so much driven by desire or need, which are kind of two sides of the same coin. But the soul doesn't think like that, right? The real you is waiting for destiny to show itself. And so the soul functions more from a energy of destiny. And so the soul will show up and say, oh, here it is. This is part of my destiny. And it's a drive. It's a feeling divinely compelled. It's not a desire or a want or a need or a fear. It's feeling compelled towards something. That's different. So the soul doesn't really have needs or desires or fears or wants or anything like that. It's different. It's driven by destiny. And that's why the personality, the ego, will put an overlay on the destiny part and say, well, I want it this way, or I want XYZ. And that's simply the egoic personality trying to turn it into something that makes sense on a cultural level, or on a in a community based level, right? So if I said to you, for example, well, it's my destiny to do a community call today, whether they keep me on here or not, or they kick me off or something, because right now I'm not even sure it's recording. I'm looking at the live counter on my computer and it says 0. So this might not even record, which is totally fine because we get to spend time together anyway. But you see that energy of, it's my destiny to do this community call today. I'm compelled. I don't have to want it or need it. I don't have a desire or fear around it. It is, it exists, and it's so real that all I have to do is walk into it. And yes, my Elizabeth personality says, yes, I want to do a community call today. Yes, I'm excited about doing this again, or, you know, whatever her energy and ego are, it's kind of like the soul convinces your ego that it's that the destiny is its idea. You know how, like, when you're with someone and you're like, well, if I convince them that it's their idea, then they'll do it. So the soul kind of does that with your personality and says, well, I could convince her that she really wants it, right? But that only happens if you're identifying um, with the body and the ego. And then the soul is naturally going to keep trying to work on you to get you to do certain things to fulfill your destiny. Which is why when you're out of the destiny, the stream of destiny, it feels like hell, right? And we've all been in a position where we were out of alignment so much that we just felt like we were in hell, even if the 3D life looked all right, right? So, destiny is a bit different, and the soul is going to work through being compelled, and that feels like, right? Energetically, it feels like being pulled through a river, being pulled through a river. So consider all of that. Remember how that feels. You're being sort of pulled along. You don't have to need or want anything. There doesn't have to be a specific destination or anything like that. So you don't have to need or want or desire or fear anything when you're being pulled through what source was already designing for you, a path, a way of being. And we would call this being synced up with source. So when you're synced up with source, that's exactly how it feels. You get pulled into a certain direction. There's no fear or desire dynamics anymore. It's destiny. And to track that, to notice how it feels to be compelled. For me, when I get compelled, I feel literally like I'm being pulled, like I'm being gently pulled a certain direction. And so I just look at that. I get kind of big, and you can zoom out, get big, and look at what's the path, where is it leading me, and you'll feel the energy of being compelled and the divine timing of it. Yeah, so people have mentioned this before. Mandy's bringing it up too. Since the American birth chart had its Pluto returned, so much that was hidden has come to light. Yeah, very interesting how the stars have influenced what's going on. And I don't know enough about that, but I know, like, certain people that I know who are quite good at all that. So I can't speak to the star stuff as much. I can talk about galactic physics. We can talk about astrophysics, but that's a bit different than astrology. Marion is saying very nicely, the realm of the Sacred Heart is within us, accessible all the time. Yeah, and so Bridget is, saying, well, we feel it. We feel everything, right? Because many of you are powerful empaths. But don't let the power of what you feel from the collective. Don't let it overtake your understanding of reality, because the collective is not your voice, right? All you have to do when you're an empath is to allow it. Your job is not to identify it, right? People like me, seers like myself, are identifiers. We're good at identifying stuff. That's the job of a perceiver. But empaths, their job is to act like a living, breathing energy highway. And it's not meant to go through you. You're more like the train master who's in the nice, calm, quiet office. And you've got the view of all the energies flowing, all the trains, right? And your job is to give permission for these energies to go where they're meant to go, right? So, empaths, all you have to do is say, I give permission for all the energies, all the pain, all the anxiety, all the power, all the excitement, whatever it might be. I give it permission to move and flow in the outer field, but it's not allowed to come into my personal egg, my personal bubble, my position, and mess with my body or mess with my psyche. That's not allowed, right? So the trains don't come into the train master's office. The trains have their track. They have their track, but they need you to basically say, I give you permission to go from point A to point B. That's actually more like what the empath is asked to do. So those of you who feel all this stuff really intensely, you're letting the trains come into your personal bubble. Stop doing that. Acknowledge them. You do not have to identify them. That's not your job. Your job is to acknowledge these energies and say, and now you are allowed, you don't have to know what they are. Now you're allowed to move from point A to point B. I'm aware of your presence. So go. You came through my station. Great. I'm acknowledging you. Go to where you need to go. That's what the empath is meant to do. So work with that idea and see how that doesn't help you quite a bit to consistently keep field energies out of your personal field. Another way you can do that is through heart commands. So we command the energy space of the heart. And we say, dear heart, anything that doesn't belong to me, please lift it out of my body and field now. And then you could add on as an empath, and I give it permission to go where it needs to go. Let it be so. And that's it, right? And you keep doing that throughout the day, and you'll see your field gets a lot better, more cleaner, a lot less random thoughts that aren't from you, a lot less pressure from the collective. And I think that you'll be much happier. Oh yeah, Maureen, you're right. What's going on with Iran is far more complicated than us just saying that's good or bad, right? We're dealing with multiple factions, kind of handling one another, and I've told people this before, but not in like a very public sphere. But my suggestion to you is to simply say, all right, nothing is what it seems. And since that's the case, I'm all I want to know, source, show me, ask God. We don't ask enough. It's a skill to ask. But if we ask and we say, source, show me the truth, right? Because you're right. It's not just, couldn't it be that Iran is all about trying to fix this or that? Or couldn't it be that Iran is about cleaning up the Khazarian mafia, for example, or something like that? So, yes, that's true. But there's a lot more going on than that. And we often forget that there's a galactic piece to this too. Iran and the Middle East. Israel's already said that Turkey's next. So they intend to take out Iran and then go after Turkey. They're going after Lebanon currently. They will go after Egypt. That's their plan. They told everybody. They already know. Like everybody already knows what they want. The Greater Israel Project, right? And the importance of that is that there's a lot more than that. It's not just these agendas on the table. It's also galactic. Every single one of those places has stargates. Ukraine is full of stargates. This is why the Middle East is such a contested hot zone of ideologies, because these different ideologies all have secret parts, secret societies that are fully aware of the galactic situation and connected to that. Much more will be revealed, especially from the e-files. There's going to be some pieces that people are not fully aware of that will be coming to the forefront. And the biggest one is going to be the galactic part. So people starting to realize that we're in a galactic war and that it's not just a human war at all. It never was. So there's so much more. And yeah, there's going to be good things that happen in these conflicts and bad. Remain neutral, right? Just be a witness. Get bigger and recognize we have access to a portion of what is actually going on. And much of what the media tells us is not real. So don't just be very patient, and don't ever assume that what you're hearing is true, right? So, like, for example, I think that many of these really awful events that have transpired, there's going to be more clarity sooner than later because of the nature of the times we're in about exactly what happened with those events, and that they didn't happen the way that people were told. And that's often the case, isn't it? So be very wise as you remain as neutral as possible, and don't buy into any partisan politics anymore. All of that's a divide and conquer strategy, and we're all way too smart for that. And they know that. The Dark Order knows that we're more clever than that. Mandy says, my refuge is constantly evolving and has already offered so many gifts, safety and wisdom. My question is it a good base from which to do my psychic mediumship work? Yeah, of course. Create a really great, safe temple to do your work. Make a temple for your work, for your business. I do. So like when I do one-on-one sessions and things like that, I have my own temple space that I work from, right? So that'll be really fun for you, for sure. And much more energetically supportive to your light bodies. Great, thank you. I like the blue as well. Daki says, I've been calling the self-inquiry you described as doing internal remote viewing. Yeah, I like that. I often experience cosmic stuff that pairs to a more universal answer that's different than 3D phenomena. Yeah, that sounds really fun. Yeah, that's great. I agree. It's kind of like an inner remote viewing, because you're creating space in the inner planes, but there's so much to discover there. And it's safe. Remote viewing is not safe, right? I teach remote viewing, but I make sure everybody's warned way beforehand not to just go wander around, right? And we do it as a group to help validate what we're perceiving, but also for safety, because remote viewing can be very dangerous. That being said, the inner look, I like that term, internal remote viewing, or maybe we call it quantum remote viewing, is what I've called it before, because there's a micro aspect going inwards, becoming small enough to go into the inner realms. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yes, Marion says, being compelled shows up for us as source guidance. Yeah, and physically it feels like a magnet pulling you, or like you're in a river and it's flowing and you don't really have to push the gas. It just goes where it needs to go. And you feel it. It's a gut feeling. solar plexus feeling where it almost feels like somebody put a little rope on you and is just very gently pulling you in that direction. So that's how it physically feels. Very good. Bridget says, my energy certainly feels like it's being pulled in a beautiful way as I can feel it through the heart space. Yeah, very good. Yeah, I feel it also through the heart. Marion says, it feels like the future of the divine design is pulling us forward, creating the destiny that is inevitable. That's right. And it's an enormous machine. And this machine is designed, right? It's a huge machine, and you are one of the great gears in the machine. But every little gear and every big gear has its place, and it has a position in consciousness. And that's why when we lose people, it feels much worse than just someone disappearing from our life. It feels like the machine has to be reworked in order for life itself to even work, right? And so that can be very painful when we lose really important aspects of our relationships. We're losing an aspect of our relationship with God. So, the losses in war, we feel that these losses, right? And the dark order considers them basically just human sacrifices. Um, but at the same time, us acknowledging the power of the presence of each being in the enormous machine, in this enormous design beyond our awareness, beyond what we're able to know. Remember that the human body only has access to 0.015% of reality through our senses. And if we add in the dimensional self, maybe we could say maybe 10 times more than that at the most. So 0.15%, right? And even that's hardly anything, even if we include dimensional awareness. So don't forget that we don't have the ability to perceive the true nature of the machine that is reality and the universe. And that when you do get a glimpse of these things, whether perhaps you're in like having a mystical experience or even a near death experience or a vision or a dream or all these, maybe you're doing some psychedelic drug that opens up the doors for those things. Even when you do see aspects of the universe that are beyond what your human body can grasp, you're never going to be able to truly describe any of that. And that's certainly been the case for myself, where I'm seeing all this amazing stuff, but I have no idea how to talk about it because it's so beyond human. It's so beyond my senses. 99% of the things I've seen in the universe, I cannot explain. Right. And then, so that gives us a clue of how much more gentle we need to be to ourselves, right? We need to be so gentle to ourselves, because if we keep expecting that we're supposed to somehow grasp 100% of what God has provided in the universe, you're going to lose your mind. That's madness. You'll go insane. So drop what you think you know. Drop your desire to know and be willing instead to be shown what is necessary. And you'll feel more free. You'll feel less pressure. You're not meant to be 100% aware of what God is capable of. That's not how it works. That's not the point of your existence. And that's okay. Instead, the point of your existence is to be present and to enjoy it with gratitude as much as possible. Gratitude heals trauma. It's a very powerful healing tool. So don't forget that too. And it's easy to get caught up in the rest. Um, Terry says, "Can you explain how the energy to move is beneficial to others?" Sorry, I don't understand the question exactly. Um, but if you can explain the question a little more in the chat, I'm happy to do my best. I think you mean the empath energy, how it benefits others. Just moving, just letting energy go where it's meant to. It benefits others by you being wise to the divine. And when you're wise to the divine nature of your skill as an empath, it benefits everyone because the empath field acts like a big hurricane and it picks up positive and negative energies and then moves it around the game board. That's very beneficial. Otherwise, change remains stagnant. So, empaths are physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually helping change to evolve and occur. So, that's what that means. That's why it's helpful. We need these energies to move around and go to where they belong the most. And the awareness field of the human being is so powerful that when we're awake to that and we do it consciously, change can happen faster because the elements of change then get to where they need to go faster. The collective field is not a field of helplessness. The collective field is not a field of um, it's not a field of inevitability. It's not a field that's gonna just go do its thing without us. It requires your active participation as an aware being, as an awake being. That's why awakening is so important right now, and for you to stop identifying with your body. You are not your body. You're in charge of this body. So that's why the empath skill is so vital. Because without the empaths, that's why there's so many. But without them, the energies can't move as easily in awareness. Here's an example that's more practical and kind of a more positive example. So when Nikola Tesla was alive, for example, um, he talked about certain concepts, and one of them was free energy and ether energy. And he wasn't the only one who had been looking at this. The CIA at the time didn't exist exactly like the CIA does now. But the CIA at the time were keeping an eye on him. But they had 45 other scientists they were watching all over the world because these other scientists were doing similar work to him. Now, how in the world did that suddenly happen where there's like, you know, 40 or 50 plus people all over the world simultaneously working with concepts that people hadn't worked with before? What was going on there? That's the collective. So, data is not in an island. All of your experiences are not in an island. You're not all squirreled away all alone, cut off from the collective. No, all of your personal experiences get sucked right into the universal, right into the full collective experience. And the empath's field is the one that gets the data where it needs to go. So the empaths that existed at the same time as Tesla, their fields were the ones letting all this information and data get spread around to all these different scientists all at the same time. Because it was time, it was divine timing for the collective to have access to the ether tech, right? So that's why that was happening. Another example. So I think it was 2016 or 2017. It was when I first started doing community calls way back. And so, like about 10 years ago. And I was developing some concepts in anthropology for like 15 years up to that point. And one of them was a concept that I kept calling galactic anthropology. But I was also looking at quantum anthropology. And what those two things mean, it's very simple. It's not like fancy woo-woo, new age anything at all. It's the opposite. It's academic. Instead, I was trying to talk about how human beings affect quantum physics and how quantum physics affect human beings. And I was trying to talk about how galactic cycles, astrophysics cycles, affect human evolution as well. And so I was coming up with these two new branches of anthropology, knowing full well that I probably wasn't the only one. And it turned out I wasn't, which I love. I love that. I don't care about getting kudos for anything like that. I just care about pushing forward the gamut of change for humans. So but these two branches of anthro were new. And at the time, and I was like, I wonder if I bet you there's other people who were looking at stuff like this too. And it turned out in around 2018, I started doing more research and seeing like, is there anyone else who's talking about this stuff? And I find that there's these scientists in Prague who had written a book called Quantum Anthropology. And I was so excited because they'd published it in like 2017, so only the year before. So that meant that for some years, simultaneously, myself and these other great scientists, I'm not a great scientist, but these folks are, and that these really great scientists were thinking about the same stuff as I was, that literally at the same exact time. And for that to occur is like impossible, right? So that's one proof of source, but it's also proof that the collective is so connected to what we're looking at. All of what you're looking at, all the inner work, the internal remote viewing, right? All of the ideas that are coming up, these are not in a vacuum. These are from source, and our DNA are transmitter receivers. And so the DNA is giving all this data out to the collective and we're getting it back. I didn't come up with these ideas on my own. They were brought forth to the collective and I stepped into that frequency and received it just at the same time as these other scientists were as well. So so there's many creators of these new branches of anthropology. It's not just one or two, it's many more beyond our knowing. So there's probably a good 100 plus people who have this understanding of how quantum physics and the galactic cycles affect human evolution. That's just one example, right? But that's the positive take on how the empaths actually impact reality. Without you, we wouldn't be able to have such an immense transmission receiving collective field. So you all keep that train yard functioning. It's not the psychics who do that. I just perceive stuff and name it and give it life with my perception. But the empaths make sure everything's getting to where it has to go. And then there's other skills too. There's divine knowing. There's all these other cool superpowers that let's look at more of those superpowers on Equinox when we do our little retreat. And you can find that retreat on my website, prismatichuman.com. And that website is going to go away in the next probably couple of months. Because I'm moving over to a new platform, the school platform, and I have a new website, the 12dimensionalpath.com. And it doesn't have it's just 12dimensionalpath spelled out.com. But then there's the school site, which is 12dpath369. And that is basically the new classroom. So then in the future, I'm going to have classes and things go through there. And if you get a subscription, then you get access to all that for free. So I'm trying to make it easier and actually more affordable to get more connection, to get more data, more classes, more support, and to come to join me for this new class on the 28th, which is about ritual. Because this is how we combine all of our mystical cool skills with all the 3D superpowers we have and actually get some stuff done. So if you want to create some impact and create real change, come join me for that ritual class. We're going to do 10 months of experiments. It's going to be really fun. So these 10 months of experiments are going to be, I keep asking myself the question, how many miracles do you need to have proof that source exists and that you have a relationship with God directly? How many miracles do you really need? So that's the question that we're going to answer. How many miracles can we create this year? So the answer is, well, how many can we create? How many can we create together? Plus, we'll have a chat forum on the school platform, which we're already using. I put up a little a chat thread for giving light and healing to one another freely, to build really good quality karma and love between one another. So I was the first one to ask for support. But we can support each other in a better way. Our community has been rather cut off from one another unless we're joining one another live. And I want other ways for us to connect, because right now is really imperative that we keep talking every day. Very good. Sorry, Barbara, e-file is short, and I'm not going to say his name, but super evil guy who was trafficking children. Because again, I'm facing the power of censorship. So I've already used some words today that they probably won't like. But it's, it is what it is. So if you can extrapolate E as a name, then you get what I'm saying. Milena says, can you speak on the possibility of powerful people like spiritual teachers or influential actors being replaced? I literally cannot recognize the energy signature of like Matt Kahn, for example. I have no idea. I don't really follow him that much, so I don't know. Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on, man. I mean, the only thing I can say is that cloning is real. The replacement of celebrities and powerful people is actually not that uncommon. The Dark Order likes to create as much confusion as possible because it's a narcissistic order. And so confusion is its main tool. And what this does is it creates needless noise, right? Lots of needless noise in order for people to remain in confusion. And when you're confused, you're more easily controlled through mind control. So confusion's the main tool. And is it not the most confusing thing to see somebody and be like, who is that? They're telling me this person is XYZ, and it's not. Clearly, it's not. And they're just gaslighting you. They're creating confusion. There really is no other deeper meaning behind it. It's simply that this is one of the tactics used against you in order to control your mind. So it's confusion that's the greatest tool that they use. And there's nothing more confusing than seeing someone and being like, that's not that person. You're lying to me. And everyone's saying, no, you're wrong. It is who, whatever, XYZ. And you're like, no, it's not. Walk away from that. Walk away, because they're going to keep lying to you. They're going to keep gaslighting you. And you're going to have to come to terms with the fact that that's exactly how they've got you to believe a whole bunch of stuff. Sue says, sometimes overwhelm washes over me, even with good energy hygiene and practices. Oh my gosh, yeah. And she says, every day I ask, please God, show me the way and be with me, and then I trust. Yeah, Sue, yeah, that's the best you can do, and you're doing it. But more so, hey, we're at the end, right? We're at the end of our species. We are at the end of our civilization. We're at the end of the world as we know it. Of course you're overwhelmed. Give yourself a break, will you? This is really hard. We are literally being purposefully traumatized every day on purpose. There is nothing less than total trauma with everything that's been going on for several years now, right? And, for decades, really. But now it's so ramped up and we're being lied to so much. Of course, you're overwhelmed. Your body's going through a lot. And that's all the pressure in cultural consciousness. But don't forget what's going on with the sun. We're in the middle of a pole shift. Your body knows it. Your body feels it. So do the animals, right? We're in the middle of a pole shift. The electromagnetic field is something like almost 40% gone. No one's lived like that in 12,000 years. Of course, your body's freaking out. Your body doesn't know what's happening. You have all brand new kinds of radiation coming in. We've never had UVC before, and now we have UVC. We used to have UVA and UVB. Now we have UVC. There's new qualities of light that we don't even have names for coming to the earth. The sun is going through big, huge changes. Every single planet in our solar system is going crazy. So, yeah, we're in it. No wonder you're overwhelmed. Give yourself a chance to allow it. Don't fight it. Let your body be overwhelmed. Sometimes I'll get panic attacks because I deal with pretty bad PTSD. And I'm working at it every day, right? And we all do. But panic attacks are weird, right? There's different kinds. And the kind that usually happens to me is my mind will be totally fine and totally calm, but my body will panic. And weird stuff will happen. My vagus nerve will start shaking, which is a very weird feeling because it's right up against the spine. And then my tongue will shake and really strange stuff. And it can be triggered by anything. I couldn't even tell you exactly what would trigger it really. But, and I'll get nauseous and I'll try to make it stop. And for a long time, I'd pop an ice cube in my mouth and that would shock my system and get my panic to stop. But now we know more about the nervous system. And when the body's going through that, when the body's overwhelmed like that, and when we stop the body from doing that, we stop a whole process of release. So I have less panic attacks now because instead I started letting my body panic. I stopped trying to stop it. I stopped popping the ice cube in my mouth. I stopped it. I let my body panic and just lose it and shake and go through a process of release. And once I allowed my body to panic and let it go through its experience, even though I felt really separate from it, I started having less and less panic attacks because my body's trying to release something. These panic feelings, these overwhelmed feelings, we try to stop them. And then we say, oh, then we'll be fine. It actually is making it worse because it's trying to release something. So let yourself feel overwhelmed. Get yourself in a safe place. Let yourself be overwhelmed. Let your body panic. By golly, doesn't it deserve a chance to just freak out a little bit? Considering all the stuff that's going on, it should be allowed to freak out because it needs to get it out of its system. Kind of like, when you have little kids, they might have a temper tantrum or they get upset over something. And if you tell them to stop, they're not going to stop. It doesn't help, right? It doesn't help. And I've tried that, of course, as a mom, and it doesn't work and just makes them more mad. Instead, we sit with the child and we say, you're safe. It's, you're having really big feelings or a big reaction. That's okay. You're not bad for having big feelings. And I'm here for you. I'm holding space. I'm just here. That helps my kids. That helps children and it helps your body more than anything. So just sit with your body and say, you're allowed to feel this way. Of course you feel this way. And you're going to be okay. You're safe. I'm watching. I'm watching after you. You're allowed to panic. And you're allowed to be overwhelmed. And what you'll find is that when you get some of that release, it'll settle down on its own. It won't last as long as you think. And then you'll be able to actually move on with your day, but you'll have less of that because instead of it getting overflowing all the time and being overfull of all that stress energy, then you won't have so much overflow. So that's how we can help our bodies. So I have less panic attacks because I actually let my body panic, because I let my body have its feelings. Even if I didn't identify them with them mentally, it doesn't matter. I let my body do what it needed to do. Brenna says, oh, it is the new moon. Cool. I could feel something. I was like, what's with the moon today? New moon. And she's just saying, needed to be reminded of the larger picture that our evolution is our destiny. That's right. Very, very good. Meldy. I hope I'm saying that right. Meldy, yes, I have a whole class on empaths and entities specifically. Right now, you can grab it in my store or in the school classroom. So you could go to prismatichuman.com and go to the library /library. And there's a whole class, it's like 4 hours long, about empaths. And I give you all the types of empaths, all their superpowers, how to help yourself as an empath, and I give you training. It's really important because a lot of people, they want to be psychic or XYZ, but hardly anyone trains the empaths. And that's the one of the most important superpowers out there. So hopefully that will help you. And then Lynn says, 4 doctors who've been treating Lyme's have died recently. Yeah. And then a bunch more people dying with the free energy stuff. And, well, they're being murdered, as you know. One was treating my friend's daughter. Oh, my gosh. And he died in January. They worked on their own, not with the regular medical system. Yeah. Yeah, we're at war. This is a global war. And this is a very insidious, underhanded war. So anyone who has access to new medical knowledge, folks, this is why I left the US. Even if it's just temporary, because I do want to move back one day. Not right now, but I left the United States for this reason. Because the stuff I say and the things I'm teaching, I'm not famous enough to have a buffer, and I'm not not famous enough to like be any importance, but I haven't crossed that threshold where I'm famous enough to have a buffer. To be like so famous that if somebody killed me, it'd be like a bigger deal, right? And even then, they've murdered some really, really important and special doctors. It's very upsetting. And scientists and things like that. Just, really, really pray and put energy towards the families of these poor people and recognize that we are all we're all dealing with this war, and that this is part of it. These very quiet murders of people who are trying to speak out, and they'll go after anybody, rock stars, medical doctors, MIT scientists, and apparently even this general that's been missing, which is, even him, right? So the Dark Order thinks they're above everyone, and they'll go after all these kinds of people. That's true, but they can't go after everyone, can they? They can't go after everybody. So we can't stop. We have to take the legacy of these great people and keep carrying it forward. Keep carrying it forward. And yeah, Lyme's is a bioweapon. So that person was basically in a war. Literally, they're dealing with biowarfare directly. So very, very sad. But important that we acknowledge their sacrifice and what's really happening to them. That this is not out of nowhere and it's not in a vacuum. Alice says, it's ironic that you say the empath's path is to facilitate flow and change, yet as an empath, owing to trauma, the thing I have most resistance and feared is change. Ah, yes, it's a powerful polarity, right? So just notice that in your life, that these two things, this is a polarity you're here to collapse. So your fear of change versus the desire for change is healed through the acknowledgement of change, right? So fear is one reaction to change. Desire for change is another reaction. That's the polarity in your life, right? But the middle way, the way out of the hamster wheel, where you're either fearing change or you're desiring change, but you're on the hamster wheel. So you're going to go one way or another way, or the pendulum's going to swing one way or another. But the way out, right? To step off the hamster wheel, you have to bring it all to stillness. First, acknowledge that fear of change has been a big lens. It's a lens you're wearing. You're running your soul's light through this lens, and you're saying, I fear change. And so I'm going to find all these changes around me that make it worthy for me to be afraid. Right? And so, we wear green colored glasses, you're going to only find green. If you fear change and those are the glasses you wear, then that's what you'll seek out. Right? Your brain is wired to get, as an algorithmic computer, your brain is wired to seek out the patterns that you put your attention most on. So if you're freaked out by changes in your life, then your brain is going to start seeking out change as a problem. And it's going to start seeking out changes that are a problem. And then you're going to keep validating your trauma, right? So there's a trick to this, right? Once you acknowledge it and you're more objective and witness too, I see now that I've wired my brain through trauma to wear this lens of fearing change. And when you acknowledge the lens and the wisdom of it, because it has given you wisdom, right? But it's not the full story. And then you're going to say, well, I also seek out to desire change and balance everything out. And so what changes can I desire? Well, I desire to change XYZ about myself, or I desire to change my position in reality. I desire to change my relationship with my skills. And you start from there, but you bring it back into change is inevitable. Change is going to happen constantly. Change is the nature of the movement of the universe. And stop making it so personalized. So allow change to be an immense element, an active sort of law of the universe, a law of nature. And then recognize that without that change, you'd be dead, right? Your body renews itself trillions of times a second. And without that change, you would not live, right? That without all of the trauma that has changed you, you wouldn't be here right now on your awakened path. That it forced you into this position where we can be here right this minute talking to one another, right? And that is how you're going to heal your relationship with change, so that your superpower, which is a function of nature, right? The psychic skill is a function of nature. You have the divine right, a natural right to perceive reality in many different ways. You have the natural right to appreciate change of all kinds at all levels. You have a natural right to know what is necessary to know in divine timing. These are the divine rights, right? And in this ritual class, in the next retreat we're doing on the 21st this weekend, um, I'm all about bringing in the power of change right now in order to acknowledge it as a function of the universe and to place ourselves with great discernment and love and destiny at the feet of change. And then we get to spend some time imagining good quality change. What are the positive changes that you'd like to see? That's the question of, well, what next? Okay, so the Dark Order's falling apart. We're in a big, huge war, galactic and earthly. All these things are finally coming to fruition. Lots is being revealed. All this cool stuff is happening. All this terrifying stuff's happening. The truth is finally getting put out onto the table, and humanity is reacting in turn as they should. No one's reacting in a way they shouldn't. People are reacting exactly as they ought to. And yet, then what? Right? Then what? What's the kingdom of heaven supposed to look like? What is the new earth supposed to look like? What is new culture going to look like? If you spend some time looking at that, then the power of change becomes just like any incredible law of the universe. It's certainly going to create positive and negative processes for us to discover, but that you're going to have a better quality relationship with it if you use the quality of change in your field to keep imagining the best outcomes for yourself and everyone else. Then you're going to transform that fear of change into an active process that's going to create a different reality. And that's how you're going to overcome your fear of change, my friend. So play with that idea. It seems like really high concept stuff, but actually it's very simple. So just go back and kind of consider that there's this huge dynamic of fear of change, desire for change, and that fear and desire are like a pendulum in your life. And you walk out of the hamster wheel of the pendulum swinging, or the wheel moving one way or the other, by being more still and accepting the power of change in a different way, that it's inevitable. And that's us basically acknowledging the river of life and saying it's inevitable that every single moment is different and unique. Every moment incurs enormous change. Every moment, especially right now. So every moment is enormous change. Very precious and powerful change. Good. Yeah, we need a spiritual R&R center for empaths to be able to heal and detox and just be able to really work stuff out. I agree. I'm hoping that the sanctuary that I've created on the school platform will be part of that for your life. Bridget says, I know I'm in and of God, and I'm totally into creating miracles for the collective. I can't wait to join the ritual class. Yeah, me too. It's going to be really fun because it's all very hands-on, practical, praxis, methodology, and then us actually practicing it in real time and seeing actual results and talking about measurable results. So it is very scientific. Yes, so Afke, we were looking at the school platform PayPal issue, and we haven't been able to find a solution. So we're trying to find another way. We're looking at it. I'm sorry, it's a pain. Andrea says, when the field changes, I go back to my own knowing. It's an opportunity to become re-entered. Yeah, and embody that change, right? So the inner knowing takes that change from the outside and then embodies it and transforms it from within, beyond you. It's not necessarily a conscious process. No need for it to be conscious. I think it'd be too overwhelming and scary if it was fully conscious, the power of change that we have to go through and embody all the time. But I would just add that what you perceive as your own knowing is a facet of God, of God's knowing. Re-entered, recentered, yeah, I like that. Recentered, but you're also re-entering into the embodiment of change. Maureen says, "I appreciate your board over your the ever expanding perspective. It helps me to surrender to know that I know nothing and being surrendered to trust." Yeah, for sure. I always love spending time with all of you. Oh yes, so Beth's reminding us about the shaking because I was talking about PTSD and shaking, and she said animals release trauma through shaking, and I think that's one of the methods Beth uses too for healing. Positively Hub says the energy needs to move through you while you're being held. No one to hold you. Be in the arms of the divine. Yeah, that's for sure. Let it move through. And you can hold yourself because your soul is a lot bigger than your body. Thomas Aquinas used to draw pictures of people, and he would draw these pictures, and there'd be the person and then their soul, and their soul would look like this big, huge ball of light around the body, holding the body. So your soul is actually a lot bigger than your body. You are the divine holding your body, letting your body go through those processes. Very, very good. Jessica says, "I'm not very familiar with ritual, except for movies and fantasy novels. Could you offer a bit more information on what real ritual is? Why is ritual important and how does it change our daily experience?" Oh, yeah. So ritual is technology. The human is made of mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical aspects of reality. And many of those aspects are multifaceted, multidimensional. So we are not just physical beings in any way, shape, or form. I would argue it's the other way around. That we're much less physical than we are anything else. And that the spiritual, mental, and emotional and dimensional or multidimensional trump the physical ultimately. However, the 3D is where we get measurable results from the different kinds of processes we go through. So, ritual is basically any kind of organized effort by you consciously doing specific things to communicate with source, right? So, here's an example. Sometimes I'll make little miniature altars, right? I don't just make the little miniature altar for fun. I make the miniature altar to have a direct connection between what I perceive as myself and God. And that little altar is me basically saying, I'm making space for you, God. Creating an altar is a ritual. But ritual also is basically part of processes in our lives anyway. And while we don't normally consciously use ritual, we are using ritual constantly. So we use ritual when we're brushing our teeth. This morning I had to brush my hair 20 times and it's still messy. But that's a ritual. You know, we get up, we get our clothes on. That's a ritual. And it gets things done. It's structure. It creates structure in the 3D that allows for things to be done in a certain way with certain effort. So, for example, like, if I didn't do the ritual of getting dressed, then I would be struggling to do anything because I can't just walk around socially accepted naked all the time. So that's not going to work. If I don't brush my teeth, then my breath's going to be bad and people are going to notice if I'm around them, right? And they're not going to want to interact with me. So ritual creates a lot of healthy structure for us. And then it also creates a space for us to have a direct connection, a direct communication to God. And the way that we're going to use ritual is we're going to use different kinds. because there's certain kinds that are physical, like creating a little altar or creating a space for you each morning to really care about your teeth and brush your teeth each morning, or creating a situation where getting dressed is a beautiful part of your day, right? Um, but there's other kinds, and other kinds of rituals are affirmations, like it's my divine right to fully embrace change without fear or desire. Let it be so. That's an affirmation. That's a ritual for me to say it out loud regularly throughout the day, right? I start creating change by doing that. I start cultivating a different way of being. And then there's ritual on the inner planes, right? So the creation of your fourth dimensional construct and your refuges and temple spaces and beautiful places to heal yourself in your imagination. That's all ritual as well, right? So we're constantly actually using ritual and we don't realize it because it's built into being human. Again, it's a technology, it's a way of using the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical all at once to get stuff done, to have an interaction with source so that source can actually get some balls rolling for you, right? So all rituals uh, exist all the time and have different kinds of ways that they serve us. So there's rituals for beginnings and endings, right? So I'm beginning a new platform. So I did a little ritual around that platform. I did some prayer work. I did some work on the inner planes, creating a special place that actually energetically matches the school platform and things like that. Um, but by doing so, then I create a sacred, safe space that's energetically going to feel inviting to you, that you might not clock mentally, but it's there and you can feel it anyway. Um, we do things like, I mean, just notice this ritual is going to be everywhere, right? We vote. We vote for governance. We vote for presidents. That's a ritual. We have very specific months and dates. The acceptance of those months and days and times that we use as a collective society, that's ritual. The ritual context for healing has been all sorts of interesting. People, stopped using the shamanic priesthood and priestess class because they were being destroyed systematically. And now we have rituals that aren't so healthy, replacing those very powerful ritual contexts and those very powerful class of people, which are the priests and priestesses. Um, and we've replaced them with some not so healthy rituals like smoking cigarettes or drinking. The use of what we call sacred substances such as marijuana or ephedra or even coffee or tobacco. All these things, ayahuasca, etc. All these come from earth. They're communions of the earth. They were meant to and have always been used in ritual context. But when the priest and priestess class were destroyed, the ritual context was taken over by drug lords and corporations and people, and secret societies and things like that, right? So the ritual context to reclaim it is to actually reclaim control over your life. But ritual is how you tell the universe, how you tell source, here's what I really want to get done. I'm open to, how it could be done because I don't know, but here's what I really want. And I'm going to give energy in this case. So maybe you're giving blessings or you're praying or you're giving ritual gifts to the ancestors, or we're going to learn all the different ways that all this works and all the different kinds of rituals. But when you do that, you're actually giving energy, and then you can expect to receive some back because you just made room to receive energy by being generous. And so ritual can start getting the ball rolling with real abundance, not fake manifesting abundance. Manifesting is all fake, it doesn't work. This is how you get stuff done. This is how real abundance works. And you're an active participant in it. So it's your relationship with the giant machine that is the universe and making sure that XYZ actually gets done. It's not going to be done in your way, it'll be done in the divine way. But through ritual, we can actually influence it. So the cool experiments we're going to do over the next 10 months will help you to actually see measurable results in your life. And that's why we have that chat forum on the school platform, because then we can talk about, well, I did this ritual and here's the outcomes. And it's blocked here, or nothing happened, or maybe I'm missing it, or and then this amazing miracle happened and I want to share it with everyone, or these things happen in unexpected ways that I did not anticipate. And then we get to share and get feedback and support and refine our relationship, our mystical relationship with ritual and alchemy, which is basically the methodologies of miracles and of creating miracles. And so that's how ritual works. That's why it's so important. It's actually reclaiming an aspect of our humanity that got taken away from us very systematically. It's the first thing the Dark Order does, is kill all the priests and priestesses. So we're going to reclaim it. You get to be your own priest and your own priestess. You get to be your own shamanic leader in your household, and include your family and see some interesting outcomes, right? I like measurable results, and rituals how you get that. That's how you really get it. Because you can do all sorts of spiritual cool stuff. Learn how to be psychic. Learn how to remote view. Very cool. And then get some cool results. But if you want really big results that have a lot of power behind them, you're going to use ritual to do that. So that's key. And I've talked about addiction a lot in the past. Addiction exists because of the lack of ritual context for those substances. And I'm not talking about modern substances like meth or things that aren't of the earth, but rather got chemically refined by human beings. I'm talking about natural resources. Even wine and beer are actually a communion of the earth, whereas hard alcohol is not so much. That's a modern creation. And so when we talk about ritual context and how addiction works, we're talking about the original substances that the earth provided, and then the context in which we use those and why. I'll explain all of that in our class. But I think it'll be very, very profound, and it'll be very different take on how to get stuff done, because it's from an anthropological point of view. I'm not a priestess. I'm not a shaman, but I am an anthropologist, and I do understand ritual in the context of our human evolution and how it can help us evolve faster right now. And that's what I care about, of course. Very good. Of course. So Jackie, I just want to plug Jackie here, and I appreciate Jackie. She's such a great anthropologist herself. And Jackie says her name's Jackie Ambro, and she's requesting beta readers for her new book on conscious choice and human evolution. And the title is Mental Freedom, Mental Sovereignty, a practical, research-based guide to breaking free from manipulation and reclaiming human dignity. So you, my friends, have a chance to work with Jackie, who is also a mystic and an anthropologist, and she too also has a lot of really great ways to get out of the narcissism drama, right? And she's going to help you with that. So if you want to read her book and be a beta reader, I would totally go connect with her using that title, and then see if you can't connect with her in such a way that she can actually support you too. But I know that she has lots of great teachings and methodologies to help you free yourself from the manipulation of the narcissistic psychopaths that we're dealing with. Um, Larock says, we need you to here, so stay out of the US. Eventually, one day I'll go back. And someone's asking me, why and where? Well, mainly just because I have family. I'm the oldest of seven. And like my sister's pregnant with her fifth child, and I can't really be there for her. And I miss my siblings, and I want to be with my family as much as I can. And I want to support the people of the United States who are on the front lines. Don't forget it's the people in the United States who are on the front lines facing off with this very corrupt government that's been corrupt for ages. It has nothing to do with political parties or people. But it's the American people that are on the front lines, and then the rest of the world. So, we're the first ones who are the guinea pigs for all the evil stuff, and we're the ones who have to deal with the lack of medical care and the corruption in a very direct way. As for where in the U.S., anything up, perhaps probably up above 5,000 feet. I have no idea. So anything that's high, that it just depends. So we'll see. Right now, there's not a really great place to live in the world. Ecuador is having its own problems. The Ecuadorian government just sent 75,000 troops to Colombia to fight drug lords, like on Sunday. And so they are bombing Colombia currently. So this is a global war. It's not good. And Ecuador's tiny. It's the size of Colorado. I'm surprised they even have 75,000 troops to send anywhere. But yeah, Ecuador is pretty bad at the moment. In certain places. So like I saw a chart a friend of mine sent of like top 10 most dangerous places in the world, and like half of them were cities in Ecuador. Ironically, where I live was voted the safest place in South America. So Ecuador's got quite the dichotomy. We have danger and safety. It's a mess. But the people here, are very sweet, and the Ecuadorians deserve better. And the drug cartels are really, really evil. And they're mostly coming from Colombia, unfortunately. And I feel bad for Colombia. Lynn says, my friend is having a hard time finding a doctor to help her daughter with the Lyme's. She also has Lyme's, and doctors who tried to figure out what to do 30 years ago had better treatment then. My ex-husband had very severe Lyme's disease. And what worked for him, and you're going to have to do research on this because I can't give you medical advice. But what I figured out worked was methylene blue. Now, methylene blue can be very risky because it can create serotonin issues. Do your research. Don't just take it. It's interesting. It's a powerful medicine. But it can be risky, right? So methylene blue actually cured his Lyme's. And it took us about 6 months, but it cured his Lyme's. It was bad. We got live blood scans, and you could see the parasites swimming around in his blood. So who knows what was going on with his brain. But the methylene blue worked. That's what cured it. So just take a look at that. Do some research on it. And yeah, keep looking. There's going to be people, especially in the West Coast, probably, people who can help with these kinds of things. Jackie says several experts on fascism left the US some months ago. That tells you something. Oh dear. Yeah. Jackie says we have a divine right to conscious change. Love the right use of imagination. Yes. Marianne says, I'm finding more than ever what I focus on is the life that I'm living. There is no separation in the unified field of consciousness. Exactly. Yes, love, 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 love all these beautiful comments. Lots of love. Is astrology affecting our genetic codes? Aparahita is asking. I don't know. Probably. Everything affects genetics, right? I don't really know much about astrology. I study astrophysics. As woo woo as I sound, I have very little to do with the astrology stuff. But everything affects our genetics, right? Because the DNA is a transmitting receiving technology. So even planet alignments, we know absolutely the planets have a dramatic effect on us. Our solar system is incredibly unique, and that's going to constantly affect us. The planets absolutely have an effect on us, and so many scientists like Rudolf Steiner, for example, proved that. So yes, although I don't know about astrology, I can say the physics of the electromagnetic fields and the frequencies of the planets around us and the stars, they do have a dramatic effect on our DNA and our genetics. What's my thought on mental health meds? So, at one point, hear me out here because it's a short explanation here, but a little different than you think. At one point, I had PTSD so bad in my 20s that I was hallucinating. And psychic seeing is natural. Hallucination is your brain telling you there's an emergency, right? So my brain was inflamed from trauma and stress, and I was suffering from really, really bad hallucinations. And I was in college and I was hiding my mental health issues. And I was very suicidal, but I had a little kid, so I couldn't just, go walk off a cliff. I had the wherewithal to get some help, and I was turned away by, I've counted it, 14 different doctors that I went to. Most of them turned me away. And some of them were medical doctors, some were psychologists. And the medical doctors, I was having really physical problems. Like I still have heart palpitations and all sorts of weird stuff. Nothing like from when I was younger. I'm 43 now, and I've done a lot of work on my trauma, and have successfully done so. But I had to really work at it for myself because a lot of these folks, they didn't know what to do. So can you imagine then, like, being a veteran, for example, and having even worse PTSD than I had and having such little support? Like, no wonder our vets suffer so bad and end up killing themselves so easily, especially when they're getting turned away for severe physical PTSD symptoms. And so finally I found a psychologist who I said to him, like, I need you to not give up on me. Like, please don't turn me away. Like, I don't think I can take it. Like, I can't take being told that that it's hopeless and that I'm screwed one more time. Like, I can't take it because it's not hopeless and I'm not screwed. And so I was telling him all my symptoms, and he said, well, there's 3 ways to approach this. You can either address the hallucinations directly and see if you can't get your subconscious to get rewired. Or we can see if you don't just have like some pretty serious chemical imbalances in your brain, and then you could go on medication, and medication can really help the right people. Or you can not do any of that, and we can just do basic counseling, but you probably won't get the kind of results you need to get the physical stuff dealt with. And I said to him, "Look, I'm really a weird duck over here, and my body's very weird, and I don't trust medication because I always have these contraindicative responses to stuff. And I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so who knows what these meds would do to me? Nobody knows. So I don't want to do the meds, even though I know they help people, right?" And I said it, but I might not be the right person because I have mental fortitude enough to recognize when I'm having a PTSD response. Um, and I said, so let's try the first option, which is to directly address the hallucinations, to like literally talk to them. And we did some development of work. It took us about 6 months for me to get the hallucinations to turn into, instead of visual ones, into audio hallucinations. And then I addressed that. Some months later, I was able to get all the hallucinations to stop. But it took a lot of effort. And in the meantime, though, I had many friends who were on medications, and then they became very dependent on them. So they had to use them. And they had to in the first place, though, because they couldn't get past that threshold through therapy. So some people are going to be very well suited for medications, others are not. And it just depends on the biology of the individual. So I have plenty of clients who who are on medications. Absolutely no reason not to be, if that's what's helping you, right? Um, and so I'm not anti mental health meds at all. There's some people who have to stay on this stuff. They do, they have to. And that's okay. Um, just like some folks have to take thyroid medication or some people have to take insulin. This is just part of what's happened to us and the imbalances that we've gone through. We are the product of the traumas of our ancestors, right? Now, at the same time, I like to see people take it more seriously, to find the techniques that work for them to help them through other kinds of symptoms. So you, I don't like to see people just depending on medication to help their PTSD. They need to be in therapy too. And I go to therapy still. I've been in therapy since I was like 13, and I'll stay in therapy my whole life. And I have really good psychologists who can help me, and they're the best. But I've worked very hard to cultivate those relationships and to make sure that I'm really honest and that, I lay it all out. But I'm a great client to have because I actually do the work, right? And people aren't going to heal if they don't do the work. We know now that talk therapy really doesn't help PTSD nearly like we thought it would. It doesn't. You have to have other kinds of techniques involved. In fact, when I did a meta study on PTSD when I was in college, one of the top ways that PTSD was helped the most was actually connection to the earth. So through gardening and through nature and all this, getting these guys out of the house and into nature. Mainly it was soldiers, because I was working a lot with soldiers for many, many years. I was doing vocational rehab and counter recruiting. And I was working with colonels in the Navy and the Army, to help the soldiers. But the soldiers, getting themselves into nature was one of the biggest things that they were able to do for themselves in their PTSD. Yeah, my brother, for example, he was a 25-year veteran of combat. And I'm not saying that he was in the Army for 25 years, which is true. I'm saying that he was literally in combat for 25 years. And so he had to quit flying because his PTSD was too bad. And he struggled a lot, but he ended up doing a bunch of experimental stuff. Psilocybin helps a lot, and so does ketamine in certain cases, obviously watched over by a doctor. And then my brother got actually electrodes put onto his brain. I don't know exactly how they did it, but they literally like micro electroshocked his brain. And that helped. So it started to grow parts of his brain back that had been destroyed by combat and PTSD. And his personality changed. His old kind of humany self started coming back out. It was interesting to watch. But yeah, and he's another candidate where medication's probably not going to help him, but he has to have some very physical stuff done to and continues to need to work on it. But it's very physical. So that's my opinion. A little bit long-winded, but it's what I've learned, especially studying PTSD and trying to help other people over all these years heal from this too, because it's something we all deal with. At this point, I don't know anybody that doesn't have PTSD. So we all have to be gentle to ourselves. Very good. Marguerite says, if I take the 3-tier at the new school platform, so we're moving over to the school platform, is the retreat on the 21st included? No, the retreats that I'm going to do from here on out are going to be part of packages, probably. I used to do retreats just for fun, just so we could be together and do work together. But I get on some of these shows, and like the Beyond the Ordinary or a Lara Confield show, although she changed her name to Shafali. And they require me to sell packages, right? And usually I like to do a live exclusive event or an event that is can only be purchased for a certain amount on my site, or but it's also included in a package. I have to have something to give them that because a lot of my older classes have been sort of overused in packages over all these years because I've been on these shows for a long time. So the retreats are going to be separate, but any new classes I do, so like the ritual class or any, because I'm always coming up with new stuff for everybody, depending on what my clients want, and what you tell me you want me to teach. Ritual was one of the biggest ones, but anything new classes wise, if you join the 3rd-tier subscription on the school platform, you'll get access to all the classes I teach over this next year. Anything new, anything I haven't developed yet, which there'll be plenty. Retreats will be separate for packages or one-offs, probably sold on my newer website later on. For now, you can grab the retreat at prismatichuman.com/library, or you can go to the Beyond the Ordinary /replays, find my interview on there, and you'll see my package deal and grab the retreat and the cool classes that it comes with as part of the package deal on that site. So retreats from here on out are going to usually be separate exclusive events that are connected to a summit or a show. Classes, however, if you join the 3rd-tier, any new classes I come up with over the next year, you get access to as part of that. So hopefully that explains it. Marion, I hope there'll be a replay, but I don't know if YouTube's recording this or not, because this is a new YouTube channel. And they wanted me to go through a bunch of hoops for us to be here today. So I don't know if it's recorded or not. If not, then April certainly will be. But they want a bunch of different kinds of validations and things, and I didn't realize that. So this morning I was doing my best to get that started. So I don't know if this is recorded or not. I hope so. Oh, thanks, Doris. Yeah, I'm very eccentric. It's true. Maria said, God, me, and we, center, neutral, grounded, open space, knowing, not knowing, and being guided. Yeah, I like that. Oh, cool. Jay says that Oh, Jamie, sorry. Jamie says that, yay, that's my business, teaching neurogenic shaking with neurowiring. Ooh, cool. That's too cool. I'm super glad. Good, good, good. All right. Yes, sacred plant medicines and ritual. That's right. Rosemary's talking about that. Yeah, in context, right? Because sacred plant medicines or sacred communions of the earth are they exist, and human beings have had long relationships with them. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the ability to process all these chemicals. Your whole body is wired to receive these communions, but in ritual context is how it was always done until now. We're going to reclaim it and heal it. Very good. Jackie's adding to that. Addiction comes from the vacuum of connection, context, and the ritual that is the container for both. Exactly. Beta reading. Beta reading, Marion, simply means that Jackie wrote a new book and she'd like people to read it and give feedback and give new ideas or changes or corrections or things like that. Jana, I'm not offering the whole ritual series as like a complete one-off exactly. If you go to the school platform, there's 3 different subscriptions. The first one includes the ritual class, a bunch of free classes from the classroom that I've already taught, and the community chat board and some other pieces. The but that's just for the ritual class. Then there's the $97 tier, the second tier, which is including mentoring. So it's for some people who need more one-on-one support. And then you get a coupon each month for a either half hour, a percentage off of a half hour or an hour session each month. And if you want to use that coupon. So it's for people who want more support. And then the third tier is $1,000 one payment for the whole year. And that gets you all of my whole library of hundreds of classes free, totally free. The ritual class, free. The mentoring, the remote viewing classes included. And it includes the chat board for everybody and any new classes I teach in the future, not retreats, but any new classes for 1 year. And so that's one payment for one annual payment, and then that opens everything up. Plus, you get $100 off each quarter a hour session, so it makes it a lot cheaper to get that support. But then you get everything for that payment, and it's pretty much the same amount of money except discounted. So, like, if you're coming each month for a class and mentoring, for example, and you want to hit up some of those other classes too, or you're purchasing things already in the classroom little by little, that $1,000 is a really good deal, because usually that somebody who's doing that kind of thing, if they're coming to mentoring and they're also coming to maybe remote viewing and any classes that I'm teaching, they're already spending $100 a month. And then that spanned over a whole year, that's $1,200 at least. So let's say generously $1,500 is what people were spending, and I'm saying, for $1,000 you get all of this plus all the classes I've ever taught so far. You get all of it for way less. So it's actually a really good discount. So that's how these tiers work. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, people are actually that they'd love for me to move to the US, sure. But yeah, it's just not conducive at the moment, not yet. Very good. Oh, it's true. Methylene blue will definitely turn everything blue. Don't get it on your skin or any of your stuff. It's a very powerful dye. But yeah, do more research on methylene blue because it's powerful medicine. Oh yeah, so someone Jackie's mentioning somebody who's, the best of the best, who can talk about astrology better than I could ever is Pam Gregory. So check out Pam, um, about her and what she has to say about those things. Maria says, speak to the necessity of reverent respect for the divine feminine mother of all. Yeah, well, I think reverence is one of the most important templates of the golden age, of the new world. And it's going to be a mutual reverence. So we start with Earth, right? If we're smart, we'll start with Earth. In our ritual class, I'm going to address the masculine feminine piece because that blocks us a lot when we're doing ritual and doing healing. Is the very corrupted energetics between men and women, masculine feminine dynamics, and access to the origin of the divine feminine is very overwhelming. But a good place to start, a facet of that, is Earth. It's Earth. And just to remember that she is your mother, and that who catches you when you fall? Who holds you when you collapse? Who's there for you and involved in every little tiny thing you do? In every relationship you've had, the Earth is always there. So that stability, that presence, is a good place to start. In our ritual course, we will address much more around divine feminine and masculine dynamics in the ritual context. Very good. Bridget says, could you give me a command to help direct the energy released from the body during fascia work? I kept hearing, we can't handle the truth, and I can't handle the truth, and the separation wound. Oh yeah, well, the truth is big, isn't it? Right? So when we hear that term, the body says, I can't handle this. I can't handle the truth. That's the egoic structure saying, I'm trying to hold on to something that's too big for me. It's too big. It's so much bigger than me. I can't handle it. That's when you surrender. So a divine affirmation could be, it's my divine right. I have this lovely image of you swimming in the truth. So if the truth is like an ocean, it's my divine right to swim with freedom in the truth, to gently surf the truth. Let it be so. Because you can't hold the ocean. The truth is that big. So swim in it. It's your right. You already are there. You're already there. You're already there. Just like love. Love is like an ocean too. It's your divine right to simply swim in the love that's available from source. It's your divine right to simply exist in the beautiful ocean that is the truth. Let it be so. Try that and see how your body feels as you work with the energy of simply floating in this space that is the truth. Right? Because the truth is too big for us to handle. You can't wrap your brain around it. So it's really your brain and your ego are speaking truth. They're saying, we can't handle this. Right? And so especially with fascia release work, because that's a lot of energy being released. And if you're doing the work on somebody, it's still a lot. Or if you're getting the work done, it's immense. We have to swim in it. Just let it just float. Let it be. Let it exist. It's true. You can't hold or handle or manage or carry the truth. It's too big. Way, way, way too big. And we only have access to a tiny amount of it anyway, with our very tiny little space of knowing. But you can swim in it. Just like we don't understand the ocean, not really. And the ocean doesn't make any sense to us cuz it's like a different planet basically, right? Well, you can still swim. You can still scuba dive and snorkel and see pieces of what is the miracle of the ocean. And that's just how truth works too. So your mind's not lying to you. It just can't handle it. So you bow to your mind and say, "You are free. You don't have to. You don't have to handle it. You don't have to hang on to it. You're not going to be able to truly know it. Not the whole thing. So let it be so that I will know the exact portion of truth that is required of me. No more, no less. Let me be able to easily surf in this space that is the truth, in this energy that is the truth." So work with that, Bridget, and see how that helps you. Laura says, I've been on a mental health med since I got sober 18 years ago. I have no idea who I am without them, but I still have depressive episodes that get bad. I'm in therapy too. Yeah. Yeah. And it's been a long time, and medications can really help. So I totally get it. And I know like the feeling of wanting to be free of all that too. It's tricky, but you got to work with people because it got to be done very safely if you want to get off of those things. It has to be very, 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 very slow because it can be a real nightmare. I think that's what happened to Jordan Peterson. I think he was on benzos or something. He was on some kind of medication and then tried to get off of it, and it just about killed him. And he's been super sick ever since. So yeah, it's very serious. And having had to be on them for so long, Laura, that's tough. But never ever to minimize the importance of the actions you took to be sober and to get your mind under control, and that you're still doing that. Right? You show up to everything I do. I love that. And you work so hard on yourself. So please give yourself some credit. And every time when you do take these medications, do it with just an enormous amount of power and gratitude because that medicine is helping you. And it might not be forever. But yeah, if you feel like you want to try to get off of them, work with your doctor very, very slowly to do it right. Katrin, correct. I'm trying to move everything over from Prismatic Human over to the school platform and the 12-dimensional path website. And the classes, like new classes, I'm trying to teach them through the school platform. So it's a subscription. And that's what I'm attempting to do very slowly. So for now, pretty much everything is still available except for the ritual class. Is still available on Prismatic Human, all the old stuff, and any retreats. New classes will be through the school platform, but we'll be doing Zoom. So we're going to use Zoom still. You'll get a Zoom link, right? It's just simply a different platform, a different way of doing it. But slowly, Prismatic Human will shut down. I've had to change my business quite a few different times, and each time it's tricky, but usually it's very worth it for people if you're willing to follow me over to something new, because I didn't move over to the new platform for nothing. I moved over to the new platform to give you more, to give you much more, to have a real community conversation ongoing, to have more support. So that's my hope, is that we slowly move over that way. That's the idea. It's always awkward to move platforms or move websites or all that kind of stuff. And it takes a lot of time and money. It's cost me a lot of money to make any of this happen. To the point where I was like, wow, I hope this is really worth it because it's been a little scary. Um, Doris says, what about sharing a ritual for my upstairs neighbor who is experiencing Tourette's and is continually stomping on my ceiling and making very loud noises? Oh, not enjoyable for this empath. No kidding. So, kind of, we can influence relationships through ritual and healing. Doris, come join me for the ritual class. I think that you already signed up, but um, ask your neighbor's permission and we can get some rituals done, but we need your neighbor's permission. Consent is key. So go chat with your neighbor and say, hey, um, I'm doing this class and I can choose certain people that I do energy work for, and I'm just wondering if that's okay with you. Can I do some for you? Would that be all right with you? Um, if they say no, you can still work on your relationship with the situation. If they say yes, then you can include them in real ritual to see if you can't get some stuff done. So, and of course it's divine will, if anything will come of it. But certainly get consent, and even if you don't get consent, you can still work on your relationship with the situation. Um, but if you get consent, then there can be a lot more done. So let's start there. But there's a process here, and you can absolutely use some of the pieces that we're going to go through in the ritual class to do some work on your relationships. So if you look at the itinerary, you can see for yourself that I include relationships as part of it. And this is a relationship, your neighbor. So you have a relationship with them. Try and get consent, and let's see what we can do for this person. And same with everyone else. So if you want to come join me for the class, that'd be great. Get consent from family and friends and just say what I said. Hey, I'm doing this class. I'm learning more about healing and energy, and I wanted to include you in the healing part of it. Would that be okay? They don't have to know about ritual or alchemy or anything like that. But if you say, I'm doing more work around energy and healing and I'd like to include you, it sounds more gentle, because it is. And it's going to, hopefully, you'll be able to get some consent from people. That way we can include some names in the work we'll do. I hope that will work for you. Will our previous classes transfer to the new platform? Yeah. So Bunny, if you bought classes already, you should have access to download them. And if you don't, then you can ask Suzette, my assistant. So if you purchased them already, you should have them downloaded already. If you haven't downloaded them, that's okay. Just ask Suzette or try to get your purchase link, and eventually everything will be over on the school platform. But if you've purchased things already, then you'll have that. Oh, you'll still have all of those downloads. But yeah, the whole library is moving over. So that way it's accessible in a certain way. Hopefully that makes sense. Deborah, if you need a payment plan for the $1,000 annual fee, just email my assistant or send us a message through the contact page on prismatichuman.com, and I'll work with you. So if you all need like a payment plan, let's work it out. Let's work it out. I really like being able to help people work that kind of thing out. I want you to have access to the stuff you really want. And if a one-time payment doesn't work, we can work something out. Yeah, so some people have been wanting to use PayPal on the new site, and we haven't been able to work that out because it uses Stripe. Um, and I'm just trying to figure out other ways for people to pay, but not really totally sure. So, because I'm new to the platform, and Suzette and I are trying to find other payment solutions. So we'll work it out. Marion says an excellent book concerning the transition we are in came out yesterday. Astrological Ages in the Galactic Center, Ancient Wisdom by Heather Ensworth. Ooh, thank you. I always like when people share new resources. Thank you, thank you. That sounds very good. Honor the mystery, Jackie says. I love that. Yes, yes, yes. Ah. Bridget says Jordan Peterson's family also feel it's an attack on the family from the Dark Order, as the daughter's baby was also exposed to strange issues. Ooh, yeah, it's a big deal. I'm not surprised. Yeah, let's just keep praying for them. Jordan is a very powerful voice in the world, as is his daughter. Yeah, I don't want you to miss anything either, Afke. Don't worry, we'll work something out. One way or another. Very good. Jackie says, boy, I can relate on changing platforms. We're still working on it again ourselves. It takes way too long. I know. You think it won't, but it does. It takes forever. Especially when you have a ton of content. And I'm moving my whole set of classes over, and I've taught hundreds. So it's a poor Suzette. Can't do it without her. Marguerite says, the third tier, do I have to sign up for every class to get the Zoom link? No. If you join the third tier, the whole thing opens up, and any new classes, the Zoom links will be available to you if you go to the classroom and the school platform. So if you pop into our school platform, you'll see a tab that says classroom, and there is all the classes, and any new ones, they'll be open to you automatically. So when you click on it, it'll be a document with a Zoom link downloadable, and I'll also make sure if you need the Zoom link sent to you that you get them. So no, I'm trying to make it really easy. It's just a different platform is all. Very good. Daki says, Doris, see, neighbor and compassion of connection can collapse the irritation you feel, even if her behavior continues. Yeah, compassion's key, but also just to offer healing, to see if we can't support change in a unique way, right? So spiritual change, spiritual power can then initiate certain changes that are beyond us. But yeah, just remember, we're all children of God, right? Some of you have some pretty crazy neighbors. I know, because I talked to you all about it. And I, when I have problem neighbors, I just remind myself, this person is a child of God. And they're struggling, and they're suffering, and I see it. And they don't even know who they are, most of them, right? So they don't know who they are. And then someone with Tourette's, it's really, you feel like you're out of control all the time. So that's a lot for someone to come in and try to awaken while they have Tourette's, and they're trying to live a life and pay their bills, and it's a lot. But ritual, compassion, just recognizing, as if that person is like a little kid. They're a child, and they're stomping on the ceiling. And it's not pleasant, but they are children of God. And that can help with the compassion piece. Beautiful. Beth says, it will be there. I will be there for the ritual class, but we'll have to leave classes after an hour and 45. Oh, that should be all right. It shouldn't interfere. I'm always super glad to have you as long as you can come, Beth. And anyone else, people coming and going, totally fine. The experiments, I'm hoping, because there's the lecture part where I train you in certain concepts and methodologies, and then I describe the experiments toward the end. So I might have Suzette separate the experiments as replays, because then the experiment can be explained separate. So if you miss the experiment, you can go back and find it easier if it's separated. So I'll probably do that, where we have each class will have the lecture part and the experiment, where we talk about what to do for that month's experiment, the ritual experiment. So that way it'll be easier for you to navigate. Good. Marguerite says, although I bought a lot of the classes, there are some which I should have access when I buy the third tier as a download. Yeah, that's right. So if you get the third tier one-time annual payment, then you can download and have access to every single class I've taught. And there's a lot. So yes, they will all be available to download. And if you have any trouble at all, Suzette's on the platform too. You can direct message her. She can help get you what you need, right? I hope that'll help. And yeah, I wanted to do payment plans just to save people money, but also to give you more, right? Community calls, meditations, a community chat board where you can directly interact with me. And you can download the school app and we can just message each other right there as a community and get support and feedback from each of us, right? So that's why I moved over, is so that I could do more for you and you could get more for the same price. Very good. Yes, wonderful. We are all children of God, no exceptions, not even the ones having bad behavior. They too serve. That's right. By waking humanity up all the ways, waking humanity up to all the ways things aren't working. I had a friend come visit me, and she likes to come with some friends, and then we do one-on-one in-person sessions, which are always really fun. And she was talking to me about how she'd changed her viewpoint on Trump quite a bit. And she tended to be more left-wing, all that kind of thing. And she said, now I see that, with what you've taught me, Elizabeth, now I can see that he's playing a certain role and that he's the divine disruptor. Because she was looking at human design and the gene keys. And she's combining these two methodologies. And she said, well, when I look at him, he and I, apparently this friend of mine, he and I have this similar energy that we are divine disruptors. And I thought, oh, that's a very good way to describe him. Divine disruptor. So his job is to just crash everything, right? And he's doing it. He's doing it. And he, all of us play the long game as souls, the long game, and you never know what role you're going to play. It's a longer process beyond us. The soul knows, but that's exactly true. Alice says, will classes and mentoring still be available a la carte without subscribing to the new platform? No, that's the point, is to make it cheaper. So if we were just doing classes and mentoring one-offs, retreats will be one-offs, but if we were to do it one-off, it'd be more expensive for you. So if you subscribe, then let me be more clear here. Let's say you just sign up for the $47 tier, right? That includes the ritual class, and say you want to buy the mentoring separate. You can. It'll be in the school platform though. So anything you want, let's say you have the first tier subscription, $47 a month, includes ritual class. It includes the community calls, which are going to be public anyway, but it also includes the chat board. It includes the free classes, some bonus classes that I'm adding into that as well. And let's say, oh, I do want to do mentoring this month, but you don't want to do it every month. Then you can buy it in the school platform. So yes, it's just not going to be on my old site. You can buy it on the school platform for the same price as before, $35, right? You can purchase it in the school platform. Let's say I teach a new class and you're like, oh, I want that one, but you didn't want to have a higher subscription. So you can buy it. You just have to have one of those subscriptions. So in order to have access to the whole classroom and buy any class you want, or buy mentoring as a one-off, then you just have to have one of those subscriptions. And then it'll be, but either way, it'll be affordable. So I'm trying to make it more affordable. If you did the $97 a month, you get much more. But if you don't want to do mentoring all the time, then the lowest tier is perfectly good, because you'll still be able to buy any class or mentoring or even the remote viewing class on your own. But it'll be in the school platform. You just have to have one of the subscriptions. If you buy the second subscription, the mentoring's included. If you buy the third one, it's all included. It's all included. So you don't even have to buy anything at that point, unless you want to do retreats, and then that'll be separate. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm trying to make it so that you get more, but you can also still access stuff as you wish. So the lowest tier includes the ritual class and access to the whole classroom, where you can buy anything you want. And I'm keeping the prices the same as the store before. Hopefully that makes sense. Very good. Yes, come and participate as you wish. The meditation will be included for everyone. So if you're in the lowest tier, the $47 a month subscription, the monthly meditation I'm going to do, it'll be included for everybody. So that'll be posted on the community for everyone. Good. Jackie says, we don't know what ripple effects we're creating, but Buckminster Fuller talked about precession, how we create effects at a 90 degrees to what we're doing, and we may never even know what those effects are. Yes, that's true. It's like a huge ripple. It's so true, and there's so much more detail to it. So all your prayers, every ritual you create, every dream, every hope, every desire, every vision you've had has a dramatic effect on reality. And it's very detailed. It's a quantum level effect. And it's true, we may never know exactly how that pans out. So if we can't afford any subscription, we can't get any of the classes. Kind of. Why don't you message me directly, Laura? Because I know you want to come, and let's see what we can do. Okay? Because I want to work stuff out. I don't want anybody to get left out. It's the opposite of what I'm trying to do. So anyone who's not sure, or they're only able to do a little bit here and there or something like that, I might be able to make like just a tier where people can just buy classes when they want to. Let me look at it on my end, or we can create a personal situation for you. Okay? So if people are like, I can't do the $47 a month, that's okay. Then let's try to work something out. Maybe you're on payment plan instead, and you tell me what you want, and we can create something that's personalized to you. All right? I've always been available for that, because I don't want anyone to feel left out. I don't want money to be the object. That's not the reason why I moved over to the platform. I moved to this platform so that we could have the chat board mostly, and so that the subscription piece could be put in place, because that actually makes things a lot easier for people in the long run. Unless you're strapped. So message me, email me, elizabeth@seerandscientist.com. Just email me or Suzette and we can talk and create something that'll work for you. Okay? So I don't want anyone to feel left out at all. That's not the goal. It's more that I want to be able to make sure things are actually quite convenient and that we can communicate better. That's the main reason. All right, so you just write me, okay? And we'll work it out. Any of you, if you're like, I don't know, I have questions. Write me and Suzette. We will help you. We will work stuff out, okay? Yeah, like a tiny subscription that just opens up the classroom. Yeah, sure. Let me look at that, okay? It's very possible. I don't see why not. And I want to hear your feedback about what you need, right? So I can keep working at it. That way I can keep giving you content and solutions. Very good. Oh yeah, it can be a challenge. Sometimes 47 is too much for folks. It just depends. You know, there's been many months of my life where 47 would have been way too much for me. But it's possible for us to work some stuff out. It's all good. Very good. Jackie says creating a donation pool for scholarships. Oh, I like that idea. That's a great idea. So she says a donation pool for scholarships or like $1 or a free plan that works for those with current cash flow barriers. Good. And cross community support. Same. I was thinking about you actually, Jackie, yesterday. So clearly there's an energy there. Yeah. Okay, good. I think we're on, if you buy tier 3, Lynn, it's for a whole year. It's 12 months. 12 months from the purchase. So like, let's say you're like, well, I could do it in July. And you buy it in July. From July 2026 to July 2027, the whole classroom's open to you. Good. Yeah, just write me, Jackie, and we'll find some time to talk about cross-community support. But I just love it when people share their resources and stuff like that. And again, if anyone's struggling, please let me know so I can help you and we can arrange things. Because I really don't like leaving anybody out. It doesn't feel good to be left out. And I don't want that for you. But I like the idea of a lower tier that can work where you're simply just opening up the classroom and the chat board at least. Let me see what I can do. And again, if you're struggling with anything, need a payment plan, write me. Let's work it out. All right, my friends, I'm going to wrap up. But I just love community calls again. And hopefully the next one, now I know my camera doesn't like the sunshine, so I can work it out a bit better. But here we are on the new YouTube channel. I hope that this got recorded. We'll see. It's brand new, so they might not have let me, but that's okay. We're going to do this each month. Probably towards the beginning of April will be the next one. I don't know exactly what day. But I just love what Marion's saying. You know, we're all in this dramatic shift together. And we all play a very significant role in co-creation. Yeah, I'm really, really glad. And super blessed for your input and your love as well. Because it keeps me going. And it's been rough. We've been pretty sick in my household for some months off and on. A lot of changes going on. And a lot of awareness coming online too. So every time more levels of awareness open up, just kind of like us moving platforms, there's always layers of stuff that then have to be discovered, right? Even in our community. So I love all of you so much, and I'm so glad that you came to join me live. Thank you. And I can't wait to do it again. Good. Write me. If you have any questions or need anything, or let's keep working out stuff so that you all can come and participate, okay? Because we have so much wonderful miracles to create right now. And for you to understand how to be a creator of miracles is the primary function of human consciousness right now. So very proud for all of you and how much effort you've been putting in. And pat yourself on your back, and your friends and your family and everyone who's going through all these pieces. And remember, change is inevitable, and it's your divine right to swim in the sea of truth and surf the waves of change that arise from that sea. Good. All right, my dears. Super big blessings and very fun to connect with you. I love all of you. Bless you. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.